Hey everyone, Brian from Bearable Traders here, Sunday, March 24th. Some crazy market action last couple days, Thursday, Friday especially. And you can see Friday we went out pretty much at the lows of the day, not particularly good for the bulls. Lots of red on the screen. So let's take a look here. The internals, 200-day moving averages, stocks that are trading below that are starting to move up here, and same with a 50 advanced decline ratio, really pushing towards the decline side. So, that was not a very good, obviously a very good day. Let's take a look at the groups. Did well. You can see here the utilities still holding up, the safety trade on a bad day. And if we look at the week, utilities still doing okay. Financials really taking the hit because of the declining yields that seem to be happening. And I think we actually got an inversion in the yield curve, which means longer dated financial tools are actually, the yields are dropping below the short dated ones. And that's always, people watch that because it's a sign of recession coming, but they also point out that the recession doesn't usually happen after a yield curve inversion for, you know, a significant period of time, like months, even years. So we still could have a pretty good run in the market with an inverted yield curve, but certainly a warning sign that's flashing here. So let's just take a look at the how things are looking. Well, let's start out with the treasuries. The U.S. Treasury 10-year. You can see here it's just fallen off a cliff. We're down to 244, and this to me is a real anomaly. It just is strange that we've got this super strong economy, really low unemployment, no inflation to speak of. That's what they're saying, and yet the market just can't even tolerate, a 2.5% yield on the 10-year, and it gets up here to closer to 2.7, closer to 3%, and the market just craps itself. So there is just something very strange going on here, that we need to have yields down here in such a strong economy. But as people have been pointing out, Europe's supposedly weakening. China's weakening economically. So yeah. So anyway, but you can see here the RSI is dropping on the yield curve as well. So anyway, let's take a look at the indexes. State the obvious. We had a really bad day on Friday. Good day Thursday, bad day Friday. RSI is really starting to roll over. It's gone below 50 here on the index, and we had a down day on volume as well. And let's look at the weekly. Weekly, we still closed higher than we started the previous week, but a down week for sure. So we may be just stuck in a trading range with low interest rates, propping up the market, and slowing economy. That fear of economic slowdown keeping a lid on things. But you can see here we're really struggling at a level of resistance, which looks like about 26,000 on the Dow here. And let's just take a look at the ones that really took the hit were the small caps, the IWM. And you can see here they just, it tried to get above the 200 double top here, 200 moving average, dropped down, came back up, tested the 200 again, and rejected that, and really sold off on Friday, and it even dropped below this 50 moving average, you see, and you did that on volume, RSI dropping, just small caps just looking really bad at this point, and the weekly again just supporting that position. And so TZA could be what we're looking at here for a trade. QQQ, same story, reversal Friday on volume, RSI dropping, certainly came down below the 70 level on the RSI, so certainly not overbought by any imagination anymore. Take a look at the weekly, still, kind of an ugly candle there. Gravestone Doji. Might have been a reversal candle. Maybe we come back and test the 50 here. Or maybe we just chop. And SPY, same story. You don't need to keep talking about the same thing here. Again, weekly doji doesn't look good. So, and the dollar actually, you know, did a flush here on Wednesday and then came right back up. It could be some of this Brexit stuff that, and the dollar's become a sort of a safe haven play to the euro with all the Brexit stuff going on. But I think at the end of the day, this Brexit thing is going to be a non-event. Whatever happens on April, I think the sun will come up the next day, and everyone will have breakfast, and life will go on. Sure, there'll be some turmoil, but I think they'll sort things out. So maybe the bark is worse than the bite on that. And the VIX, of course, not surprisingly, really popped up here on Friday. Just TVIX, I think we were trading some people were trading in the day trading room on Friday. Made a nice run from 14 to 16, and we could go higher if certainly if the markets continue to sell off here. So let's look at what we got on active trades. I'm still hanging on to some AVCO. You can see here it actually didn't do too badly on Friday, even though we had a real significant market sell-off. It really didn't. It really kind of held in there, held above 5. So as long as it continues to hold in there, I'm going to hope for a trade up to $6 here. Coke I'm just hanging on to, and it actually had an update on a red day markets. You can see here we actually had a pretty good day on Coke. So again, a typical sort of defensive trade. Neo I had entered a little bit higher here around 580, and I actually bought some into the close here because it held 560, and quite often I'll do that. If I don't get a great entry, which 580 wasn't a great entry, so now I've averaged down a little bit by buying at 560, and if it doesn't hold 560, I'm out. So risking just a tiny bit there on the ad, and if I get stopped out, I'll get stopped out. But sometimes I'll do that. If I don't get a great entry, it comes back to where my stop is. If it just holds above that level, I'll add some, and then tight stop on the entire amount. I'll stop out in the entire amount if it hits lower here. So, and of course, Roku we bailed on Friday. Actually, you know what? I didn't. Sorry, I forgot to look at the other trade we put on, which was the XLU, and that actually did pretty well on Friday as well, despite the market sell-off. When we sold, or at least I sold half here at 58.70, and then it did a bit of a pullback. So I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I'm going to keep a close eye on it, and we'll see if we have to bail on that trade, or if it just continues to go higher in the face of a volatile market with a lot of the stocks weak. But everything still looks pretty good on it. RSI is still strong, popping up over 70 again. 200 in the 50 still going up. It did it on a bit of volume here. MACD seems to be turning up again. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But we're well in the money on that. So let's take a look at what we got on watch. BIIB is a new one I'm watching. You can see here, really took a hit on Thursday. Continued to sell off Friday. But I'm thinking it's getting really down into the oversold range. The RSI is down around 15. Let's take a look at the weekly, see where we could look at maybe taking an entry on this. Maybe have to go back here a bit. Let's go back a year. Oh, well, maybe more than a year. Thought there was another pullback here on this quite a while ago. Okay, anyway, but we're looking at just looking at this from possible oversold perspective, and maybe on a bounce. And yeah, so I'm thinking watching it on Monday. And if I do trade it, it's a pretty high price stock, so you can actually trade the calls on it. I might take a 230, 240 call spread, buy the 230 call, sell the 240 against it to reduce the price of it. And if it does sell off a little bit on Monday, a bit more on Monday, I might take that entry and look at a bounce for it. Because these things, I always like to look at stocks that really get oversold and they just really get overextended to one direction or the other. Especially on the downside, you've got a lot of people short here, so short covering rallies can be a little bit stronger than rallies where they top up and then they pull back. So be watching that one for sure for a possible entry short-term bounce trade on that. EEM, I'm watching the EEM. It sold off hard on Friday as well, and it's just going to bounce off the 50. If it can hold there, maybe we can get another play back up to the top here, 43.70s. 42.13 with a tight stop here at 42. Give a good risk reward. Nuggets have been, even though the US dollar kind of bounced back, Nugget stayed strong, and I think Nugget, sort of a play off the gold trade. I think it may, if it keeps going here, it could really take off. So I'm just watching here. Nugget. Roku, I'll be looking maybe for a re-entry. Just take a look here at what happened on the daily here. Quickly, you can see here sold off and then came back, and that's when it rolled over again. That's when I kind of bailed on it, figuring that it was going to sell off again into the close. So watching that for an entry again. I mean, there's your level to trade against, 63.40ish. We'll see what it does on Monday. May re-enter it again. And I think I think we got more stocks on watch than that. Let's take a look here. I'm looking at the semis as well. This is the SMH, the semiconductor index. Again, really sold off here on Friday. So it's been strong though. Let's take a look at the weekly. Another ugly doji there, another gravestone doji, right up at support or resistance, depending on which way you want to flip this thing. But we'll see if it starts to come back this as we get into the new trading week. I don't know why this thing keeps going back to UNG. As you know, I'm always like to watch the natural gas price. It looks like it might be breaking down here, so maybe I'll be looking at a trade on DGAS or cool as a possible trade on the short side of the UNG pricing. And oil's just seemed to break out. Now it's checking back. Maybe that means it might head higher. Usually what happens is when a stock breaks out, pulls back to where it broke out from and then continues higher. So we'll be watching that as well. On volume on Friday, let's see here, RSI rolling over a bit, don't like that. So anyway, a bunch of stocks to watch on Monday. So we'll see how things go. And yeah, market's getting pretty crazy. Volatility's gone up, and we'll see what happens coming weeks. Should be interesting. So that's it. Hope everyone's had a great weekend. We'll see you in the Bear Bull Trading Room on Monday morning. And if you haven't already checked out my book on Amazon, How to Swing Trade, go ahead and do that if you're interested. And have a good rest of the weekend, everyone. What's left of it. We'll see you tomorrow.